great northwards to the rockbound coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, primary elections will be here before you know it, and Maine's U.S. Senate race is now gaining momentum.
Plus, a Bangor city councilor was caught on a hot mic this week. We'll bring you that story coming up as well.
And students at Husson University are getting a unique hands-on experience with the new Exercise and Sports Science Lab.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and more. Checking out that science lab. It looks cool. It looks like the bridge of the Star Trek Enterprise, kind of, you know. It's really neat what they're doing over there.
It is.
But first, a check of that forecast. Looking like a cloudy day today. Might see a few sunny breaks, but overall just a cloudy day. And then maybe some messy weather moving in tonight into tomorrow.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. A winter weather advisory is up, and that will last until 10 a.m. as we head towards your Friday. Our next system will be approaching as we do move forward in time. A small craft advisory is also posted as we head towards later on this afternoon at around 2 p.m. Here's as we do move forward. The clouds are tracking off towards the south, and ESA system is farther down toward the south, but more energy will be approaching later on, and this will bring more frozen precipitation to the northern parts of the state. So here's what we got. We'll have some clouds today, and then we're going to be watching for more activity as we head towards early Friday morning. Some frozen precipitation farther off towards the north with a gradual transition to some rain and even some drier hours too. The wind may not be a huge problem. Some gusts up to 15, maybe 20 miles per hour farther down toward the south. Hourly forecast moving forward. Again, some clouds, even a few breaks at times. Temperatures overall in the 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Overall, not a bad day. Thank you, Devin. Well, now to NASA's historic mission to the moon. The Artemis crew is in orbit this morning. Things are going well, but it hasn't all been smooth sailing. They even had some toilet trouble overnight. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay with the latest.
3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff.
The Artemis 2 mission now underway, with astronauts set to travel deeper into space than ever before.
So after a brief 54-year intermission, NASA is back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon.
The Orion spacecraft lifting off, powered by a 322-foot-tall, 6 million-pound rocket. NASA resolved a brief communications issue shortly after liftoff and says the 4-person crew is safe, secure, and in great spirits. They're currently in orbit, 46,000 miles from Earth, where they will stay for about a day, testing Orion's systems. If everything checks out, they'll begin their journey to the moon. The crew will then conduct a lunar flyby before slingshotting back with an eventual ocean splashdown here at home. It's the first time Americans have traveled to the moon since 1972. Crowds gathered near Kennedy Space Center to witness history.
Here we are going back,
Yeah.
after all these years.
It's just such an experience to be able to see one of those go off and just to feel that power.
Watch parties were held across the country, this one in Pennsylvania.
So we are going to celebrate a new milestone for everybody, not only for USA, for the whole planet, for the whole humanity.
Even astronauts on the International Space Station tuned in.
Godspeed, Artemis 2!
Before launch, in a nod to tradition and a bit of superstition, the astronauts played cards until everyone lost a hand, leaving the bad luck behind. And just like the Apollo astronauts some 50 years ago, they walked out through those same famous doors.
Thank you all for being out here. It's a great day for us.
The crew will spend 10 days in space, where doctors say their bodies will face several challenges.
Our bodies undergo a lot of adaptation as soon as we're exposed to microgravity or weightlessness. So our astronauts are almost seasick for the first couple of days of spaceflight. They're nauseous, they don't want to eat.
Artemis 2 won't land on the moon, but the goal of the mission is to pave the way for future landings and the eventual exploration of Mars. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Meanwhile, President Trump signed an executive order that he says will strengthen election integrity. But on Wednesday, Maine's Secretary of State says she disagrees with how he plans to do it. That executive order directs Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to compile a list of confirmed U.S. citizens who will be 18 or older at the time of the next federal election and transmit it to each state. All mail-in absentee ballots would have to have a barcode to facilitate tracking. Federal funds would be withheld from non-compliant states. White House spokesperson Abigail White said, quote, "The president will do everything in his power to defend the safety and security of American elections and to ensure that only American citizens are voting in them." Maine's Secretary of State Shenna Bellows also issued a statement saying, quote, "President Trump clearly didn't get the copy of the Constitution I sent him. This executive order is laughably unconstitutional, and Maine is not going to obey in advance because the president isn't in charge of elections, the states are."
Well, state lawmakers have approved a supplemental budget plan for the state. The Appropriations Committee voted early yesterday to approve a more than $11 billion spending plan. It includes funding for essential services in Maine. It also includes a boost in salaries for teachers and funds needed to implement the new red flag law. It also provides property tax relief and checks of $300 to help thousands of Mainers deal with rising costs. One of the more controversial measures pushed by the majority Democrats would also force millionaires to pay more taxes, a plan that would generate $150 million over 2 years. That spending plan will now be presented to the full legislature for consideration.
A closely watched U.S. Senate primary race is approaching in Maine, and Democratic contest is drawing significant attention. Our Alexa Kennedy tells us more.
With just a couple of months until the primary, Maine's U.S. Senate race is gaining momentum, and voters are at the center of a pivotal election that could carry national implications. According to University of Maine political scientist Mark Brewer, the race is centered on Governor Janet Mills and challenger Graham Plattner. Polls currently show Plattner in the lead, a position he's held consistently, along with a significant fundraising advantage. Brewer says that makes Plattner the clear frontrunner for the Democratic Party, though the race remains far from decided.
I do think that, Plattner versus Mills will give us some insight on where Democrats are in terms of what they see as their preferred future direction of the party.
Brewer says this election highlights a divide within the Democratic Party between experience and calls for change. Meanwhile, national attention is growing.
With such a tight margin, or a slim margin of control that the Republicans currently have, it could very well be that control of the Senate comes down to the race in Maine.
Christina Parker, communications director for the Maine Republican Party, says Republicans are taking a wait-and-see approach. She highlights ongoing attacks between Democrats as candidates clash in a contentious primary.
They're kind of tossing a couple insults and, attacks at each other. And honestly, we will let them fight that out.
She points to concerns about both Governor Janet Mills and Graham Plattner, arguing voters are increasingly dissatisfied and looking for change.
A lot of stuff is coming out about Graham Plattner's past, obviously, and then also we have the governor's voting record, and I think there's a lot of Mainers that are not happy about things that she's done while she was governor.
Parker expressed confidence that Republicans have stronger candidates heading into the general election. She also pointed out that it's past the deadline to find alternative contenders. When reached out for comment, the Maine Democratic Party did not respond. Alexa Kennedy reporting for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, a state project will connect two popular trails in Ellsworth. Right now, the popular paved pedestrian and bicycle trail and the 96-mile-long Down East Sunrise Trail are not connected. The Maine DOT Office of Communications Director Andrew Goebel says a $2.5 million project will change that by creating a continuous route right through Ellsworth. He says it will feature a 10-foot paved surface with ADA-compliant crossings and sidewalk ramps for pedestrians. Motorized vehicles will not be permitted on that new connector. Construction on the project is expected to begin in the summer of 2028.
A Bangor city councilor is attracting criticism for comments he made during an executive session at a public meeting. He was caught on a hot mic on Tuesday evening discussing funding for the Bangor School Department's multilingual learning programs. Our Callie Warren explains why his statements have caused a stir.
Bangor City Councilor Wayne Mallard discussed English being taught as a second language in Bangor public schools, with an individual likely not knowing that that conversation was audible near an open microphone during a recording of a public meeting. In that conversation, Mallard stated his disapproval of the school department asking for an increase in funding to hire another multilingual instructor. Here is some of what Mallard had to say Tuesday night.
You can't speak English, read English, or write English. It's not a disability. We do not have to punish. And they're probably all illegals anyway.
English as a second language is something that, according to Bangor Superintendent of Schools Marie Robinson, is federally required to be taught. Robinson released a statement saying in part, quote, "Providing English as a second language services is not optional. It is a legal and moral obligation that supports students' rights and their ability to learn. Our multilingual teachers provide qualified, targeted instruction so that all students can access grade-level curriculum and succeed academically," end quote. Robinson then went on to say that the department serves everyone, regardless of their background or country of origin. Mallard's comments have created frustration among some members of the City Council. We spoke with two councillors who both stressed the importance of a disclaimer that they only speak for themselves and their own opinions and do not reflect the overall beliefs of the entire City Council. City Councillor Michael Beck released a statement to us saying, quote, "As a parent with 3 children in Bangor schools, I know that our students, all of them, are the future of this city. The school committee has put in months of work to build a budget that supports every child, and that process deserves to be met with an open mind and mutual respect. I'm disappointed by any rhetoric that relies on harmful stereotypes to dismiss the needs of our neighbors. Our city is at its best when we treat every family with dignity, and I look forward to a budget process that reflects those values," end quote. We also had the opportunity to speak with Councillor Susan Falloon, who says the behavior isn't what she expects of her fellow councillors.
These statements don't reflect the full City Council. I can only speak for myself, and they absolutely do not reflect my opinion. And I think that those statements were highly inappropriate. We need to be held to a higher standard. We do. That's just all there is to it. Once you take that oath, you've taken that oath. You have responsibilities. We reached out to all members of the City Council. We did reach out to Mallard for comment, but have not heard back at this time. Councillors Falloon and Beck were the only ones to respond to our request for comment, along with Councillor Joe Leonard, who declined to comment. In studio, I'm Callie Warren for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, a local business with deep roots in the community is voicing concern about an upcoming Maine DOT project. We'll have the details ahead.
But first, another check of that forecast. A cloudy day ahead today. Might see some sunshine too. Highs around 46 degrees. We can expect a mixed bag tonight, even some snow in some areas. Lows dropping down to around freezing. A wintry mix and rain on the way for your Friday with highs near 48. We'll be right back.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers Central and Eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Think
You're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals by weight.
I have no idea.
Congratulations, you have built the perfect line. I'm Deborah Norville, and this is The Perfect Line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. This is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, the Bangor Mall isn't the only local facility getting a new owner. Bangor's Airport Mall has also been sold. According to the Bangor Daily, the mall has been sold to a company called SBP Bangor Airport Mall, LLC, out of Montreal, Canada. According to the city's tax rolls, it has been sold for $13 million. There's no word this morning on what the new owners have planned for the mall.
Well, this is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and officials in Maine are reminding people to pay attention when they drive. The Maine Bureau of Highway Safety says between 2021 and 2024, there were 52 fatal crashes that resulted in 55 deaths, all caused by distracted drivers on Maine roadways. From April 9th through April 13th, multiple law enforcement agencies around the state, in partnership with the Bureau, will be conducting additional patrols looking for drivers who are texting and using their phones while behind the wheel. Bureau of Highway Safety Distracted Driving Program Manager Carrie Bernier says, quote, "The driver's focus shouldn't be on their phone, it should be on the road. Nothing on your phone is worth the risk to yourself and to the other people on the road."
A local business with deep roots in Bangor is voicing concerns about a planned Department of Transportation project, fearing it could jeopardize their operations. Our Grace Blanchard with that story.
For decades, Mainers have been pulling into Sweat's Tire and Auto on Hogan Road for gas, treats, and vehicle services. But an upcoming Maine Department of Transportation construction project has the business fearful for its future.
So we knew a bridge project was coming, but we didn't realize how big of a bridge project it was going to be.
According to the Maine DOT, the Bangor Diverging Diamond Interchange project aims to replace the oldest portion of the Hogan Road overpass and modify the interchange to address safety and congestion.
One of the main concerns for us is that it puts a median through the middle of Hogan Road from the northbound lane to Haskell Road.
General Manager Prentice Sweat tells us this would make entering and exiting the parking lot very challenging for patrons. To mitigate that, he says the DOT proposed creating a rear entrance to the business.
That has been the plan since August of 2024, and then a week ago we found out that they were not going to put the entrance in.
He says if that does not happen, it could jeopardize their operations and a neighboring business.
If we can't make money here, we'd either have to close our doors or try to find another location, but it would be very difficult for us because this is where we've operated for the last 60 years.
Maine DOT had no immediate comment. With the project set to begin this month, Sweat says he is trying to remain optimistic that the agreement to construct a rear entrance will be honored.
Sounding like it's coming back on the table, so we're hopefully optimistic, but until the road's built and everything's done, we will remain optimistic.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Now, meanwhile, students at Hudson University are getting a unique hands-on experience through the university's new state-of-the-art exercise and sports science lab. The lab features top-of-the-line exercise equipment, including an advanced modular altitude chamber that transforms a section of the lab into a fully controlled environment for altitude training, research, and performance enhancement. It was made possible by congressionally directed funding, part of a larger funding package intended to increase the amount of STEM opportunities for students. According to educators and students, the space is more accessible and advanced than their previous equipment, expanding education possibilities and research capabilities.
This is the first semester we're really utilizing the lab, that I hope that they're building the basis for future research projects coming out of the lab, so we start to see the Hudson Exercise Science program produce regular research.
I definitely think that this is going to be very helpful for any student coming in. This would be a big pull into the program. You don't see a lot of schools that have altitude chambers or specific like force plates that we do. So I think it'll be helpful for them to learn and grow with the program.
A group of students studying physical therapy and exercise science have been utilizing the space for research this semester, but the university plans to encourage students in related fields to also take advantage of the space and technology in the upcoming semesters. How neat is that?
So cool. I'd like to go explore it myself.
Yeah, neat.
Well, the time now is 8:20. After the break, a vote is expected today on whether to approve President Donald Trump's new White House ballroom. We'll have more on that.
Plus, a team of New England researchers is working along Maine's coastline. We'll tell you about their important project coming up on Good Morning Maine.
When you have everything you need to unlock your best workout, like free fitness training and best-in-class equipment, you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Get stronger with free fitness training at Planet Fitness. Join for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th.
You ready?
Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
At Ashes to Ashes Pet Crematory, we understand your pet is family. When it's time to say goodbye, you deserve compassionate, respectful care. We're a family-owned crematory in LaGrange, offering private cremation for dogs, cats, and even exotic pets. You'll meet the caring people who handle everything from start to finish. Visit our office to see our selection of urns and memorial jewelry for pets and people. You do have a choice in where your pet is cremated. Call Ashes to Ashes Pet Crematory today. We're here when you need us most. Please call us for pricing of services.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Welcome back, everyone. A team of New England researchers is digging into Maine's coastline, unearthing data that could shed new light on a global issue.
Our Alex Schley tells us why scientists say this work will likely have long-term implications right here at home.
Researchers from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in Massachusetts say data being collected along Maine's coastline could provide a critical window into global carbon levels. Over the past 2 winters, researchers have been collecting data from New England salt marshes, including sites in Gouldsboro, Wells, and Scarsboro.
We are studying these systems, specifically how water moves through them, how they process carbon, and how much carbon moves from this environment out to the coastal ocean.
To better understand these processes, researchers are tracking and comparing a range of conditions across each site.
We are capturing not only the water level, the salinity, and the temperature in these tidal channels, but we're also looking at that in the marsh platforms.
The data comes from a network of sensors installed at each location.
Within each of these wells, we have a CTD logger, a conductivity temperature depth logger. So these little loggers collect data every 15 minutes.
The team is also continually tracking ground temperature using a multi-depth soil temperature probe.
Below this, the head of the sensor is another PVC tube, and it has temperature sensors at the surface and then 5, 10, 15, 25, and 50 centimeters.
Officials say the goal of this research is to help future researchers better understand carbon in these and similar locations, and in turn aid in work to help protect critical coastal ecosystems. In Gouldsboro, Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a quality automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Here we go. We have advisories posted. We have a winter weather advisory up until 10 a.m. for your Friday for the areas highlighted in purple for some frozen precipitation that will be moving in. We also have a small craft advisory up until 2 p.m. later on this afternoon. So here's what we got right now at around 3 to 5 feet for the buoys, while further off towards sea at around 5 to 7 feet. So the ocean is rather active at this moment in time. Meanwhile, on land, we just have some clouds developing. So clouds and yes, even a little bit of sunshine could peek out from time to time today with some energy farther down toward the south. This energy will not cause us any problems. We'll have more energy moving in from the west and going toward the east, and that will be giving us some trouble as we do move forward. But meanwhile, Futurecast will show more activity moving in as we head towards the weekend. Here we are actually at Friday morning, a wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow with a transition over to rain as warmer air moves in. That will get out of here as we head towards Saturday. Here we are at Easter Sunday, another possible wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. This will also transition over to rain and then be out of here as we head towards early Monday morning. So as for frozen precipitation with the first round, this will primarily be possibly ice farther off towards the north, not so much farther down toward the south, and any snow will also be farther off towards the north as well. So the northern parts of the state will have trouble, while farther down toward the south it will not be so bad. So for today, we have mid-40s under a mostly cloudy sky, northeast wind at around 5 miles per hour. Later on tonight, rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow, lows in the low 30s, southeast wind at around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, upper 40s, wintry mix changing to rain, and that south wind getting up to around 20 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer, showing a partly cloudy sky on Saturday, highs in the low 50s, upper 40s for Easter Sunday, a wintry mix switching to rain, and then mostly cloudy on Monday, highs in the upper 40s.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Lights, camera, cheese! The Cheese House is looking for its next star, and it could be you. If you're 21 or older, enter for your chance to appear in the next commercial. Stop by the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield to enter. While you're there, browse their huge selection of glassware and 420 specialty foods. But we have the cheese! Remember, entries are happening in person at the Cheese House, 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield. Bring your personality, bring your smile, and we have the cheese!
Give your home or business a clean slate. From roofs to carpets, siding to storefronts, we clean it all, inside and out. Locally owned, fully insured, and committed to quality. No job too big or small. Message us on Facebook at Clean Slate Services 207 or call 207-631-0500 for a free estimate. Clean Slate Services. Your property renewed.
The 1% Club is back.
Are you guys ready to play?
With a whole lot of Joel.
Joel. What up, Joel? Count the number of times my face appears in this picture. What happened? I missed little Joel. Happens with my wife all the time.
April 13th, who will have all the answers for 100 grand?
Here is your 50% question.
And be part of the 1%.
We lost 31 of you. I swear to you, I still don't understand this question.
The 1% Club, all new season April 13th on Fox.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Overnight, President Trump speaking to the American people for the first time on the war in Iran, touting the success of the operation, but offering no new details on a plan to end the war. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the latest.
Overnight, President Trump addressing the nation for the first time, saying the U.S. is on track to end the war soon, before warning it could escalate.
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
But Trump giving no new details on exactly how he plans to end this war.
They talked about we've taken care of the Army, the Navy, we've taken care of the missile production, and we've taken care of, at least notionally, their ability to hit Israel and the United States. But the nuclear problem has got that quiet check mark, and it was not addressed.
While also acknowledging the soaring oil and gas prices here at home. Iran choking off the critical waterway for the passage of much of the world's oil.
This short-term increase has been entirely the result of the Iranian regime launching deranged terror attacks against commercial oil tankers in neighboring countries that have nothing to do with the conflict.
Democrats responding, Senator Chuck Schumer saying in a rambling, disjointed speech, an unhinged president failed to justify his disastrous decision to go to war with Iran. And here at home, gas prices have surged beyond $4 per gallon, a political problem for the president in an election year. Meanwhile, polls showing a majority of Americans disapprove of this war. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Well, meanwhile, the U.S.-Israeli war is dealing a heavy blow to other nations, including to Iraq's economy. Iraq relies on oil revenues for roughly 90% of its budget, and most of its oil is exported from Basra through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been effectively closed since the start of the war. The war also has led to a sharp reduction in the volume of imported goods reaching southern Iraq's ports, while attacks have also halted traffic at its border with Iran. Unlike other countries in the Middle East touched by the war, Iraq hosts both entrenched Iran-aligned forces and significant U.S. interests, leaving it exposed to attacks from both sides. Since the war started, oil production in southern Iraq, where Basra is located, has fallen by more than 70%, and the volume of imported goods reaching the country's ports has been cut in half. Drone and missile attacks have also targeted American companies and military bases. Iran's allied Iraqi militias also have struck oil fields and energy infrastructure.
A key commission is expected to vote today on whether to approve President Donald Trump's new White House ballroom. This comes after a federal judge ordered a halt to construction unless Congress approves the project. A spokesperson for the National Capital Planning Commission says the agency is moving ahead with today's vote because the judge ruling affects construction activities, not planning. The ballroom, estimated to cost $400 million, has faced opposition and legal challenges. Trump aims to complete the project before his term ends in 2029, and the ballroom will include security upgrades and is funded by donations and public dollars for security enhancements. Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll hear from the Bangor Humane Society and meet our Pet of the Week.
That and more coming up on Good Morning Maine.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You know, we can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026, and this is also National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day.
Peanut butter became affordable in the early 1900s when the peanut industry became commercialized. Many people ate peanut butter sandwiches during the Great Depression as well because it was cheap, nutritious, and kids could make it themselves. The first recipe for PB&J sandwich first appeared in a Boston cookbook in 1901. The combination is now enjoyed by young and old alike.
I like a nice PB&J sandwich every now and then, you know?
Yeah, I'm a fan of grape jelly.
Yep.
And yeah, strawberry probably.
I like them all. I like a bunch of them. I've been going through like a raspberry jelly kind of thing lately, but
all
yeah, I
good.
love a PB&J sandwich. Sometimes if I'm feeling crazy, I might even have a fluffernutter.
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
those are?
Oh, yeah.
Get some fluff and some
Marshmallow
peanut butter.
fluff.
You toast the bread a little bit, it all gets gooey
So
and goodness.
good.
So I might know what I'm having for lunch today.
Me too.
All right, moving on to history. It was on this day in history back in 1792. Congress passed the Coinage Act, which established the U.S. Mint. In 1889, Charles Hall patented aluminum. Although it is the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust, aluminum is never found in its pure form in nature, which is why it wasn't discovered until the 19th century. In 1917, President Woodrow Wilson asked Congress to declare war on Germany, saying the world must be made safe for democracy. He also signed the Selective Service Act, which required men to register for the draft. Congress declared war 4 days later, sending troops to fight during World War I. And in 1956 on this day, the soap opera As the World Turns debuted on television.
And in 1987, the speed limit on U.S. interstate highways was increased to 65 miles per hour. In 1992, mob boss John Gotti was convicted in New York on murder and racketeering charges. His nickname was Teflon Don because he had been acquitted in 3 other trials. This time, he was sentenced to life in prison and died there in 2002. And then very recently, in 2024, Taylor Swift became the world's first musician to become a billionaire solely from her songs and concerts.
Good for her.
Yeah,
Why not?
that is a huge achievement.
I think she's earned it. All right, for birthdays today, they include actor Pedro Pascal, or Pascal. How do you
I think
say
there's
it?
a few different ways to say it. I say Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal. He's 51 today. Singer Emmylou Harris is 79. And actor Christopher Maloney from Law & Order SVU is 65 years old today. I always like that show.
Yeah, me too.
Happy birthday to you also, if your birthday is today.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment. 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. A winter weather advisory is up, and that will last until 10 a.m. as we head towards your Friday. Our next system will be approaching as we do move forward in time. A small craft advisory is also posted as we head towards later on this afternoon at around 2 p.m. Here's as we do move forward. The clouds are tracking off towards the south, and ESA system is farther down toward the south, but more energy will be approaching later on, and this will bring more frozen precipitation to the northern parts of the state. So here's what we got. We'll have some clouds today, and then we're going to be watching for more activity as we head towards early Friday morning. Some frozen precipitation farther off towards the north with a gradual transition to some rain and even some drier hours too. The wind may not be a huge problem. Some gusts up to 15, maybe 20 miles per hour farther down toward the south. Hourly forecast moving forward. Again, some clouds, even a few breaks at times. Temperatures overall in the 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Thank you, Devin. Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports.
And we'll meet our pet of the week. I'm told
Yeah.
it might be a little dog.
Puppy.
So we'll find out about that a little bit later. Don't go away.
Jonathan Bush. He's a battle-tested trailblazer who's created over 900 jobs in Maine.
The jobs that Jonathan brought to Belfast were really transformative for so many families.
Now Bush wants to shake up Augusta. He'll slash wasteful spending and cut property and income taxes. a billion-dollar tax cut for hardworking Mainers.
Jonathan is a big thinker with big ideas, but he actually makes them happen.
I'm Jonathan Bush. I look forward to earning your vote.
I'm Barry Higgins from Maple Lane Farm. We have our own beef herd here. We're on about 800 head, and it's raised right here on the farm. And we go direct to the consumer. No middleman, all natural, good old-fashioned Maine beef. Our quality is unbeatable. We have specials on Facebook every week. We guarantee our product 100%, whether it be beef, pork, or chicken. And we have a small selection of lamb also.
Maple Lane Farm, a candy store for a carnivore.
John Brown first opened his own appliance store in Ellsworth in 1976. With his gift of storytelling, a strong work ethic, and a philosophy of putting others first, John and his wife and children saw the business prosper and grow. Today's third and fourth generation of family and their entire team continue to follow the example set by their grandparents and parents. Brown Appliance and Mattress, High Street, Ellsworth, a family tradition of quality, value, and customer service that always puts you first.
At Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Darling's Kia, we've got something for everyone. Shop our full lineup of new all-wheel drive, gas, EV, hybrid, or plug-in hybrid Kias. Plus, enjoy affordable lease programs and more incredible savings on award-winning Kias. And at Darling's Kia, your new vehicle is covered by our 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business. The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. Shop Darling's Kia. You'll do better at Darling's.
I shall now train you in the art of the net gun.
Gotcha.
All new Animal Control, tonight on Fox.
And folks, baseball season is right around the corner in the state of Maine, and the Hamden Academy Broncos had their first outdoor practice of the preseason. The Broncos have been working on their game for a couple of weeks now. The team has been going through conditioning practices since the winter, but for the first time this preseason, the Broncos were able to practice outside on Wednesday. The team's leaders say it's something they've been looking forward to ever since they got together this past winter, and now it's finally here.
It's amazing. It's a great feeling being out here with the team. You've thought about this all winter, the sprints, the lifting indoors, hitting in cages. Now you're finally out to be able in the sun, and it's kind of unexplainable how great it is.
I think this is honestly the earliest we've been able to get out here. I mean, we have a beautiful day out here. Day one of actual practices after tryouts. Really feels great. Sun feels good. Everyone feels loose.
Even while having been mostly trapped indoors so far, it hasn't stopped the Broncos from putting in the work they believe is needed to be a competitive team this season.
We still are able to do, just throwing progressions, a little bit of defensive work, but it's just different because it's on like gym floor, not actually outside.
Maybe you're not going to be able to work on hitting a ball 200 feet in the air and catching it for your fly balls, but you can still work on footwork, having your glove placement be in the right spot for ground balls. Pitching, it's all fundamentals, throwing from 60 feet and in, and really fine-tuning those sort of smaller mechanics.
We'll have more from the Broncos on Saturday in the weekend shows. Well, if you were anywhere near a TV with ESPN on Tuesday, you saw your fellow Mainer Cooper Flagg's face. He appeared on the Pat McAfee Show Wednesday afternoon. Flagg discussed everything from details about his mindset, his journey so far in his career, and more. He also discussed the biggest adjustments he had to make while transitioning to the NBA.
What's been the biggest adjustment now, being an NBA player?
I mean, there's a lot. I think the first thing that I would think about is just the lifestyle change. It's a big lifestyle change, obviously. I mean, I'm in a new city, living on my own, worrying about paying rent, paying for different things, just figuring that stuff out. Everybody has their own family. Like, a lot of the guys have, children, wives. So nobody's hanging out. Like, I'm going to practice, going to the games, and I'm going home and kind of just chilling by myself. So a lot of the lifestyle things are a lot different. And then the other thing I would say is just the length of the season. Like, 82 games is a lot, and you can't really prepare for it. So it's just been things that I've had to learn throughout the year of, mentally, physically, preparing my body, preparing my mind, just to be ready for 82.
Have you had that kind of welcome to the league moment yet? We all kind of have had it in different ways. Have you had that yet?
I had a couple. I think, very early on in training camp and practice when we were going hard at the start of the year, There was definitely a couple moments. You know, one I've talked about before. Like I tried to dunk on one of my teammates, PJ Washington, and it just didn't go very well.
How great is that? If you want a link to the full interview, you can find it on our website. We'll finish on the diamond with the Boston Red Sox as they look to avoid being swept by the Houston Astros on Wednesday afternoon.
And he ended up
we pick it up in the first. Wilson Contreras is trying to spark something for the Sox. He shoots a base hit up the middle as Duran comes around to score, and the Sox lead 1-0 to the fifth. Now tied 2-2. Masataka Yoshida gets a good piece of this one, but Smith goes up and gets it for the web gem. What a defensive play in the fifth now. 2-on for the Astros. Crochet is going to hang a slider, and Carlos Correa is sitting on it. A 3-run blast to put Houston up 5-2. The no-doubter has Correa all sorts of fired up. Now it's going to be Houston again making great defensive plays on Yoshida. This time it's Paredes. He backhands it and makes the incredible throw across the diamond to get him at first as the Astros win 6-4. Sox hoping for better luck on Friday at home. Hopefully it goes well for those Sox fans who have tickets to Fenway this weekend. That's all the time we have for sports. We're right back after the break.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
When you get a little shout out at work, melt into your moment. Irresistibly smooth Lindor.
From me, the Lind Master Chocolatier.
Need a safe and caring place for your loved one during the day? At the Merchant Center Adult Day program, we provide a supportive environment where adults can enjoy companionship, engaging activities, and personalized care in a setting that feels like home. Our experienced staff is committed to meeting each person's unique needs while promoting independence, dignity, and overall well-being. Families can feel confident knowing their loved ones are in compassionate, capable hands.
Fox Sunday. The biblical 3-week event continues.
My own sister, you've broken my heart.
With the final powerful story of the Bible's most legendary women.
God has a destiny for us all.
The epic finale of The Faithful this Sunday on Fox.
Maybe it's better I don't look. Let's go.
I could cry thinking about it right now.
Yeah. Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Welcome back, everyone. Once again, we are joined by Catherine Ravenscraft from the Bangor Humane Society. Catherine, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Who is this little guy?
This baby, this little baby is Diesel. Diesel came to us with 2 sisters as well, and I think there were just too many dogs in the home.
Right. Gotcha.
And so they're all on the young side. And I think that because there were so many dogs in the home, they weren't really socialized, super socialized. I'm sure they were loved, but they haven't had a lot of experience with going outside and meeting new people. So Chihuahuas tend to be, which there's definitely some Chihuahua in here.
Right.
Yeah.
They tend to be a little more on the timid side anyways. You know, they get that tremble going.
Yeah.
Yeah, they oh, look at him.
I know,
Look
it's
at
so
him.
cute.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Aw.
So he is a little on the shy side, but he warms up so quickly. I think that once he has his person, he's going to come out of his shell pretty quickly.
That's the key right now.
awesome.
He just needs to get to some normalcy and get
Consistency,
some love.
exactly. Yeah.
Do you think this is one of the situations where he would benefit from having maybe one other dog in the house?
I think
to kind of socialize.
Yeah, there's definitely the possibility of that. He's going to be fine with kids.
Yeah.
This is a really great family dog. You know, with kids and small animals especially, you want to make sure that you're supervising because they can love. I used to tell my kids, don't love so hard, you know, love easy. But yeah, I think he's going to do great pretty much anywhere you plant him.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's a sweet boy.
Can I hold Diesel?
Of course you can. Let's see what he thinks about that. And you know, it's interesting because we don't get a lot of. Here you go. We don't get a lot of small dogs at the shelter. I know that there are always people who are looking for smaller dogs. Yeah. And there's kind of a run on the banks whenever we have a small dog. But it's because they're so manageable that they can travel with you. That like their messes aren't that big.
Yeah.
They're not as destructive. They might chew on things, but they don't do as much damage as a bigger dog.
Totally.
And so small dogs tend, for the most part, to stay with their owners their entire lives, which is one of the reasons we don't see a lot of small dogs at the shelter.
Small dogs too are great for people who are maybe in an apartment or a smaller space and can't have maybe a bigger dog. So
he's looking back at you now. He's like, where's the nice lady go? Why does this strange man have me?
He's not trembling though, is he?
No, he's not. Curling right up.
Look at him.
Curling right up.
The look.
You're beautiful.
He is just a little love bug.
So well.
He's going to make somebody a nice pal.
He really is. Yeah. So another dog, of course, would have to meet with him before he can go home with anyone that has other dogs. But as long as they're dog savvy, tolerant of little critters, I think it's going to be fine. Yeah.
He's doing great considering coming to a TV station with all the lights.
I know the lights
people
and the cameras.
Exactly. The transition, the car ride.
He's
doing great. He's doing great.
You are so cute.
I think he's warm right now too, and that makes a big difference.
Anything else you need to get the word out about?
We're just always looking for donations. I know Gabby will talk about it next week, but Monday starts our kitten shower as we move into kitten season.
Kitty season.
We have a lot of needs, and we've already got lots of mama cats and kittens out in foster care. So we've got a Chewy wish list, Amazon wish list. Yeah, we'd love the help. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Catherine, thanks so much for coming in and bringing little Diesel with you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't want to let him
I know, I
now.
don't want to leave.
You're a good dog.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Good job, buddy.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Here we go. We have advisories posted. We have a winter weather advisory up until 10 a.m. for your Friday for the areas highlighted in purple for some frozen precipitation that will be moving in. We also have a small craft advisory up until 2 p.m. later on this afternoon. So here's what we got right now at around 3 to 5 feet for the buoys, while further off towards sea at around 5 to 7 feet. So the ocean is rather active at this moment in time. Meanwhile, on land, we just have some clouds developing. So clouds and yes, even a little bit of sunshine could peek out from time to time today with some energy farther down toward the south. This energy will not cause us any problems. We'll have more energy moving in from the west and going toward the east, and that will be giving us some trouble as we do move forward. But meanwhile, Futurecast will show more activity moving in as we head towards the weekend. Here we are actually at Friday morning, a wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow with a transition over to rain as warmer air moves in. That will get out of here as we head towards Saturday. Saturday. Here we are at Easter Sunday. Another possible wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. This will also transition over to rain and then be out of here as we head towards early Monday morning. So as for frozen precipitation with the first round, this will primarily be possibly ice farther off towards the north, not so much farther down toward the south, and any snow will also be farther off towards the north as well. So the northern parts of the state will have trouble, while farther down toward the south it will not be so bad. So for today we have mid-40s under a mostly cloudy sky, northeast wind at around 5 miles per hour. Later on tonight, rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow, lows in the low 30s, southeast wind at around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, upper 40s, wintry mix changing to rain, and that south wind getting up to around 20 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast, brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer, showing a partly cloudy sky on Saturday, highs in the low 50s, upper 40s for Easter Sunday, a wintry mix switching to rain, and then mostly cloudy on Monday, highs in the upper 40s.
People ask me all the time, are those commercials really true? Does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. We really have gotten millions of dollars for Mainers hurt by commercial vehicles. And the insurance companies know when you call the twos, we're gonna fight for you. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
You provide it all. There's no challenge you can't take on, because you've already taken on everything. You've gone above and beyond. It feels like you've brought them together. It feels like your home is taken care of. It feels like you're all at the top of your game. And with Fidium Fiber Internet, you are.
It feels like Fidium.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
Where every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
You hand me a trash panda. That was gangster. It pays to choose wisely.
Wed, Thurs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We just won it. 25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Well, we figured that we would bring Diesel up on the desk for the last few stories.
I don't want to let him go.
I know, he's too cute.
Yeah, he's cute.
Well, there's a new tourist attraction on the iconic National Mall in Washington, and it's a direct jab at President Donald Trump and the renovations he's doing at the White House. A gold toilet seat sitting on a marble-like backdrop pokes fun at the president's affinity for the color. The plaque on the side reads, quote, "A throne fit for a king."
I believe that art is a very powerful tool for sharing truth, and this shares important truth of our troubled times and the misuse of funds and the misfocus coming from the present administration. So enough is enough.
The statue includes a roll of toilet paper that reads, "The Secret Handshake." So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the statue.
You know somebody's going to use it, though.
Oh, Craig. Well, meanwhile, a Hawaii native seabird is thriving in some of Honolulu's most urban areas. The number of adult breeding white-turned birds, also known as manaku, has increased to more than 50% in the last 10 years. While many other indigenous bird species have suffered in Hawaii due to disease and predators, the white-turned birds, which hunt for food at sea and lay eggs on land, are soaring high. Conservation experts believe these birds are drawn to downtown Honolulu because the trees offer a habitable space and can protect against predators.
comfortable around people. They seem to be like a social bird. I think it's awesome that they are increasing. That's such a good sign when so many other things are not going the right way.
Well, presence of the white-turned bird is also often used as a sign for navigators that land is near. And lastly, deputies in Florida respond to a construction site to wrangle an alligator. It happened on Sunday in Avon Park in the central region of the state. Highlands County Deputy Gage Massey was previously an animal services officer. He used a PVC pipe and a rain slicker to subdue that 4-foot gator. The gator was placed in the back of a patrol car and brought to the lake where it was then released.
Fortunately, just a little one.
Just a little gator.
What do you think of that gator, Diesel?
He probably doesn't like it very
Pretty
much.
scary, huh? Diesel's not so sure about what's going on over here.
Diesel wants to go back to Catherine.
Hopefully somebody will come give you a new home
Yes.
before the day's over.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us.
For Diesel and everyone, have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, she stepped back from acting to focus on her music career, which is a roundabout way of saying she's in her bad